When Ryan's when it's time to begin, it's on the Review of Raw with John Pollock and Wai Ting, the A-team that makes sense of these things we see in the ring every week on TV. It's Review of Raw for Monday night, download a Tuesday morning from the Fight Network site. It's Review of Raw for Monday night on USA Now on the John and Wai Take the Mic.
Hello everybody, it is John Pollock and I am joined by Wai Ting, and welcome to Review of Raw. How are those headphones looking?
Awesome.
Wow, they're really noticeable.
You mind if I have these on while we're recording?
As long as you can hear me.
Oh, well, of course I can hear you. But I'm also listening to some awesome beats.
You could be listening to something completely different and just not.
Yeah, I'm listening to another podcast, actually.
There's times you'll do that where I'll spend like 10 minutes going through a match and then I naturally pause for your reaction and you just like nod or do a, yeah.
That's usually when I have like nothing to say.
I get that. I understand. But now you could really just get away with it and be listening to another show right now.
Yeah, word. Yeah.
Well, we're going to get into Raw. I'm not going to ask you how you're doing because it's been a horrendous several hour period, I guess, depending on when you're listening to this, with the attacks in Las Vegas on Sunday night, which it was very nice to see the WWE start the show off with a moment of silence for the victims. I mean, just I read about this all day long on Monday, and it was just so depressing. And then after that, learning that our friend Art O'Cal was kind of in the midst of all of this at the Mandalay Bay was just frightening to hear about. And I've since spoke to him. He's okay now, but it's just crazy just reading about all of this. I don't have any grand statement to make or anything like that, but it's just really, really frightening to read about, and sadly, it's becoming way too much of a common occurrence that is going down. So they did start off the show with that, and that will take us into Raw from Monday night in Denver, Colorado. And we had Michael Cole, who was away. His son was getting married, so it was a rare Raw without Michael Cole. And in to replace him was Tom Phillips. So we had 2/3 of the SmackDown announce team with us for Raw.
Yeah. Only the second time Michael Cole has missed Raw in 20 years, apparently.
That's nuts.
Quite impressive.
That's quite the streak he's had, and I don't think anyone would be aware of that streak.
I don't think he gets enough credit.
Well, he got a rare Monday off, so he'll be back next week.
Who gets married on Monday?
That's what I thought immediately.
Yeah.
Like, is it some, like, destination wedding? Like, maybe they're on a cruise ship somewhere.
Could be that. And
they're just getting married on a Monday. But I thought the exact same thing, and especially your dad is the voice of Raw. Hey, Pops, we're getting married on a Monday night. Tough. Deal with it. It almost seems kind of antagonistic of Michael Cole's son.
Yeah, you couldn't do it on a Tuesday?
There's 7 days in the week. I mean, even a Tuesday. Cole could swing a Tuesday. Anyway, he chose Monday, and Michael Cole took the night off work. Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman immediately started the show, which was advertised ahead by a week. There was a springboard into a chokeslam, but Rollins avoided the chokeslam from Strowman and then got pressed in the air, landed down face first on the mat, and Strowman then just tossed Rollins off of the top turnbuckle. Strowman ran at Rollins, fell over, went to the floor, and then Rollins set up for a suicide dive and was met with a punch from Braun from the floor. Went through the commercial break. Strowman ran Rollins into the post. Power slam gets blocked, then Strowman is shoved into the post. And Rollins tries to get Strowman off his feet. Hits back-to-back springboard clotheslines. He's staggering. Then he finally takes him down with a blockbuster. Braun kicks out at one. The King's Landing gets stopped when Strowman clotheslines him and hits the running power slam.
He hit the Rainmaker.
I guess, yeah, you're right. Well, he was caught with the clothesline. He was doing the setup, but then
Strowman hit the Rainmaker.
I guess kind of. Yeah, you're right. He did get twisted. So anyway, there you go. He went from the Snowman to, what was the name? Oh, that was a different show I made that joke on. I'm trying to keep this all straight. Anyway, running power slam by Braun, and he pinned Seth clean. And Phillips proclaimed that Braun Strowman is unstoppable, at least over the last 7 days.
Yeah, if you're not Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he literally is stoppable. But anyway, a win here for Braun Strowman. And I don't know what they're doing with Braun for the TLC show. He's not linked to, he's been attached to Dean and Seth, and he's definitely not doing anything with them at the pay-per-view. So I don't know if they're just going to feed someone to him at TLC and he murders them.
I mean, I get the sense they're really just still in rehab mode with Braun Strowman lately, and here, sacrificing your tag team champions to do it. Do you think it was
With no
worth
purpose.
Well, to rehab Braun. That's it, you know?
Yes.
And I think, Braun, you could say it works. Do you think it was worth it?
I think he definitely has lost something since the Brock loss. I'm not saying it's irrevocable, that he can't get back to that level, but it definitely feels like the so prized momentum has been lost with Braun temporarily.
Yeah, but I think they've done a good job of helping him since that loss to Brock. You know?
TLC is a good pay-per-view for him too, because if you put him in some kind of weapons match, he thrives in those where you have weapons and chaos.
Sure.
It's just finding the right opponent for him.
I think Braun, these matches have been fun this week and last. I think Braun's become really good at these giant versus underdog matches, and, over the past 2 weeks he's been put up against two very good underdog baby faces. So these I think always work.
So Braun then hit another running power slam to Rollins, and he goes to leave and then returns, and Dean Ambrose comes out attacking Strowman. He kicks the rope into Strowman's groin and then leaps off the turnbuckle into a choke slam from Braun, then took a second choke slam and a running power slam. As Booker T says, he don't want no bread, he don't want no salad. All he wants is meat.
Oh, okay.
So maybe he's facing Sean Stasiak at the pay-per-view.
Oh, right. It's interesting how they've done this now with Rollins and Ambrose and Enzo over the past several weeks, where you had Braun destroy them, but then you have those victims' real opponents come out, their real feuds come out, and basically take advantage of the laid-out opponent. And so the victims essentially forget about Braun beating them up altogether. They're almost like reacting like, oh, you touched me last. Now I'm mad at you. Instead of being mad at Braun, who was the actual person who laid him out. And I can't say it doesn't work. I think in the audience's eyes, you almost forget that, Braun Strowman laid out Rollins and Dean Ambrose. You're thinking about the last image that you're seeing.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's... I feel with Ambrose and Rollins, I mean, you could look at it one hand that they really just fed their tag team champions to Braun. But given what Ambrose and Rollins are going to be doing next, I think it almost doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters either. And I think Braun is being established now at such a level that, you could... It's a given that everybody will lose to Braun, except for Brock
Maybe
Lesnar.
Braun should be the tag team champions by himself.
I feel like they've tried that in the past, haven't they? One person with both belts?
With the tag belts?
Yeah.
I'm trying to recall. But if there's a time to revive that idea, maybe it's with Braun.
I don't know about that.
I'd like to watch him just be a tag team champion by himself.
One for each arm?
Sure. So after the match, we go to Cesaro and Sheamus, who also come out now. And this is with Rollins and Ambrose all prone and dead. And they hit a neutralizer to Ambrose and then set up Rollins to take a brogue kick. And we also have new bar T-shirts for Cesaro and Sheamus.
Cesaro, I actually thought he'd be wearing his other new shirt, which is just a photo of him without his teeth. And, the caption is, I can't even remember it, but it's something like...
With Superman.
Yeah, it's actually really good. Ever since I asked whether or not anybody felt Cesaro and Sheamus was their favorite tag team, they must have heard me. They must have heard me because they really stepped it up. I thought this match at the pay-per-view was really good. The tooth thing, while unfortunate, I think has put a lot of positive attention on them. So
in the grand scheme of things, granted, I wasn't the one who had to have dental surgery, but he was back here. He's involved in a big program. God. He's probably headlining the next pay-per-view.
Headlining? Oh, yeah, you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, that's going to be the headline match.
Yeah.
I mean, Cesaro didn't miss really any time. Didn't work the house shows over the weekend, which maybe that's a nice little break.
At the same time, I think that would have happened regardless of whether or not he suffered that. And I assure you, that must have been one of the most painful things that man has ever felt. So.
Well, I'm just saying it probably was. I hope I never get my teeth jammed into my gums. Yeah. But all things considered, I mean...
Not that bad.
I mean, he got a shirt out of this. He's in a main event.
I'll say they definitely feel hotter down than they were before.
Well, yeah, and they've we'll get into their programming for TLC, but that was the end here. Rollins and Ambrose just left for dead. Do you feel that there will come a time when you can get Rollins and Ambrose up and running as significant single stars? Maybe more so. Ambrose, I don't know. But Rollins, do you feel that overall this run has been good for him to get him away from that main event scene, or do you think you've kind of established him away from that?
I think it's been healthy for both of them. I think both of them as babyfaces, Seth and Dean, have been kind of lackluster. They've at least, not...
Dean, it definitely helped, but he was at a very much lower spot than Seth was.
Seth, too, if you remember, before joining up with Dean, I think he was just playing this kind of awkward babyface who wasn't all that likable. And I think this is helping all three of those guys in the Shield to reestablish that, to remind people why you guys like these guys. And it's allowed them to work a better, more fan-friendly style. And it's helped, I think, overall, repackage all of them.
Mickie James runs into a giggling Alicia Fox backstage, and Fox then directs her to her dressing room, and Emma says that someone left something for you in your locker room because Mickie has her own personal dressing room.
Yeah.
With her name on it.
How did she score that?
I guess that the Pepsi Center is very accommodating, so everyone gets their own locker room. And inside her dressing room is a box of Depends and a walker because she's old way. She is, wait for it, 38.
That doesn't make me feel too good. I'm 5 years away from needing Depends.
So from her last run, where she was Piggy James, she's now fragile Mickie James.
She's really run the gamut.
You can't be broken in this company, but you can be fragile.
So in 5 years' time, what would you give her? What is she destined for? You're fat. You're old. And what's next?
What will be the next physical deterioration for Mickie James? Could she go blind? Senile? Senile. You forget everything by the time you're 40.
Right. Yeah. She could develop.
She could do a Vince McMahon gimmick.
It's not as bad as I'd say neither of those things is as bad as the Natalya farting gimmick. So she could sink lower. She'll really need Depends.
Yeah, that would be the Natalya farting thing. At least it was short. The Piggy James stuff was some of the worst stuff they have done for a female in recent memory. I kind of understand why they would do it and why they would do this angle. Their aim is to create storylines that people can relate to. And, I don't personally relate to, I guess, being called old or fat, but perhaps there are female viewers out there that do. So I don't really like the storyline, but maybe I'm not the target market. Well, I just think it's such a stretch. Like, maybe it's supposed to be that the heels are just full of shit here. Look at Mickie. This woman looks fantastic. She looks amazing. I know. And she's 38. Yeah. It's not like we're doing a storyline here with Terry Funk. You know what I mean? Yeah. Coming back. Can the old man still do it? I mean, we're talking about a woman here who is 38 years old. What are you going to do? And looks fantastic. Wait a second, though. How are you going to do a storyline like this otherwise? Would you actually do it with a woman that actually looks old? If they did it with Alundra Blaze, I could get them doing that. This is an old woman that is coming back, that hasn't wrestled. But Alundra Blaze isn't going to wrestle. She could. But they're not going to hire Alundra Blaze back just to do the storyline. You know what I mean? Like, who on the active roster can they use if they wanted to tell a story like this? Well, but I will say, I think the age thing is a bit tougher for a female to recover from. I got to think about Mickie following the storyline. Like, beating Alexa, if she beats Alexa, which I don't think she will, but even if she beats Alexa, it doesn't necessarily change the perception of that the audience now has of you. You know, you've been called the old person, beating somebody. And then if she loses, it's kind of been proven that, she is quite a few steps slower than her prime, back in her 20s. She should beat Alexa and then, win some, youth serum or something. Yes. And then we have the 36-year-old Asuka that's coming up, who's going to be the new hot thing. Is she going to do an old gimmick? She's getting up there, 36. Yeah, she doesn't. That's why she has the mask, I guess. Yeah. It is a stretch, absolutely. And don't even get started on that old guy, AJ. Wait a second, how old is Stephanie? Much older than 38. Yeah. Not much older, to be honest. I think she's Look up Stephanie. Is she? I think she's actually 39 or 40, to be honest.
Stephanie McMahon.
She may be.
She is
40?
41.
41.
Yeah, birthday like a week ago.
I will guarantee you her age will never be mentioned on television.
Probably not.
Nor will her husband's. All right, so anyway, we got the Depends, and then Mickie flipped out and destroyed the Walker, which could have gone to better use, I'm sure, to somebody in need. And so she goes and bangs on Alexa's personal dressing room door. And I guess Nia Jax, unfortunately, didn't get her own dressing room because she answered. And Bliss is behind her, calls Mickie fragile. And Bliss sets up a match where Mickie will take on Nia Jax tonight. And Nia agrees to this, as does Mickie. Then we go from a walker to a guy in his rocking chair, Bray Wyatt, who says, "She told me to drop my bow and arrow, use your hands, fight the man." And then he just repeats over and over, "She would never lie to me." And that's it.
This is a tease.
Yeah, that's what I took. I knew this was not the end of Bray Wyatt tonight. I knew I was getting more, so I was not happy about this. Elias was in the ring. That lifted up my spirits a little bit. And he says he would rather drown himself a mile in the sea than live here.
In the Mile High City.
In the Mile High City. Yes. And he calls Titus a goof and sings this song to lots of boos, states the people of Denver are the worst in the USA. The parents are losers and the kids are all the same.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's showing improvements, I feel.
As a musician?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like he is.
This is, he's getting...
I think he's showing improvement overall. Like, the man, knows his gimmick now, knows what's working for him, and I think he's feeling more confident, as a heel. I think the crowd here, really hot for this song.
You know what his finisher, I was thinking about this. They got rid of the drifter, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at the mechanics of his finish, like you go to the side and then you go down.
Okay.
So it should be called South by Southwest.
Yeah, I like it. I love
Fits the musician way more. He's not drifting anymore. He's not even identified as such anymore.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
He's lost everything but Elias.
Yeah, sure.
Let's go full in here.
I mean, I wonder how many people would make that association, and I don't know if he would be able to get a spot on South by Southwest.
Well, it's in his head. He feels he could.
Right.
That's the joke.
Okay, I like it.
So anyway, Titus comes out to save the day. This was my favorite Booker T match ever that he's called.
Really?
This was so awesome. First off, Booker denies that he was ever in talks to join Titus worldwide. So Booker then asks how long it's been since Titus even had a match. And remember here that Titus is the babyface confronting the man that has insulted this entire city. Mm-hmm. Booker says that, it's been a long time since Titus had a match. Time off is your worst enemy. I mean, look at those love handles. And the announcers go, "What? What are you talking about?" To basically get him back into this. Phillips then notes all the rumors that are out there about the Shield's reunion, and Booker says, "It's all over the internet." And then Titus starts firing up, and Booker goes back to his own storyline of Titus, I guess playing Mickie James, says, "Man, power, it's the last thing to go." And Phillips just says, "What are you talking about?" Like, we are not doing this storyline that this guy is fading. He is a babyface in his prime, is what we're supposed to be calling here. So Elias goes to the floor, nails Apollo, then gets yanked by his hair, kicks Titus in the knee, and old man Titus leans over and gets hit with the South by Southwest and is pinned in 3 minutes. Booker T was all I paid attention to in this match.
Maybe he missed his spot in the Mickie James match.
Booker T was, I think he confused Mickie and Titus's roles. He was so funny, and it was so obvious that Tom Phillips and Corey Graves just had no control over this guy.
Is he just crazy?
I think he just says whatever comes to mind, and I wonder if he gets any feedback in his ear, if they just let him go, and they just have to react off of Booker.
I feel like he was much better when he first came back. I thought he was a lot more restrained, I think one of Booker T's problems is exactly what you've just been recapping, that he'll just say random weird shit that has no benefit to the actual match itself. Yeah, okay. Well, at least you enjoyed it.
It was the most entertainment I was going to get out of Titus O'Neil versus Elias.
Yeah.
Then the SmackDown announce team on Raw plugged the SmackDown pay-per-view. That's on Sunday. Then we had an Asuka promo for TLC. What do you think they're going to do with Asuka? Because now we're going to have Alexa Bliss and Mickie for the title at TLC. Mm-hmm. Do you feel this is just going to be Asuka and you're going to throw Emma against her?
Yeah.
It's just going to be a quick win for Asuka.
It should just be a showcase match.
Then Nia took on Mickie James, and Mickie was making her entrance, and they cut to Nia, who had this great eye roll right as Mickie was doing her entrance, and it was just perfectly timed. Alexa came out to watch this from ringside, and Tom was all confused because he said that Emma and Alicia put a walker and Depends in Mickey's locker room, and then Corey had to correct him, saying, no, Alexa was clearly behind that. It's like, come on, Tom. You're on Raw now. You better get up to date.
See, that wasn't necessary. I mean, yeah, I guess it made sense to me at the end, but yeah, okay.
I can see how it was misinterpreted.
Yeah.
Jax is in control, headbutted Mickie, tossed her to the floor. We're back to using the term frenemy in 2017 for Alexa and Nia. Jax tackled her to a mat, applied a bear hug. James landed on her feet. After being held up on Jax's shoulders, she fired back with kicks, and then it was a tornado DDT that put Nia Jax down, and Alexa ran in to stop the pinfall from occurring, and the DQ was called. So Mickie wins by DQ, nailed Alexa with the Mick kick on the floor, while Jax sold this like she had been hit with Evil's STO, like Okada, who just laid there for hours.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was solid building of Mickie here. You know, you have a big challenge trying to lift somebody who is not getting any screen time. You can argue like a C-level wrestler, you know, in the division, and trying to elevate her to a title shot. But having her almost beat Nia, I think, you know, does a decent job. The match was given a lot of time, and I thought they were telling a good story, but I don't think Mickie at this point is over enough, and I didn't think the setup was strong enough to really kind of carry the attention.
Then they recapped Enzo being destroyed on Raw last week, and Renee interviewed Enzo, and Renee called it a mutiny with the Cruiserweight division, and it's something that has never happened before, except that they literally once had the entire roster walk out on Triple H. Remember when they just left him in the ring?
No, I don't remember.
They all went on strike, and then they came back. It did happen once.
I believe you.
Enzo just stands there. He never says a word, so Renee just ends the interview. She got bored.
Yeah.
We got a big video tribute for Carlos Santana.
It's what, Hispanic Heritage Month?
Yes.
And it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yes, and the Spanish Heritage Month, I think it's a several-week period that covers September and parts of October.
Hispanic Heritage Week. Or is it 2 weeks?
Well, they've done a few of these, so it's multiple weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. Then our maitre d' for the evening, Charlie, walked in and interviewed Mickie James.
I had no idea this was Charlie. She looked completely different.
She was dressed up like
Colonel Sanders.
Colonel Sanders or Ivory when she was in the Right to Censor.
Sure. But she almost like her hair looked different. She almost had a different energy.
I checked my calendar to make sure it wasn't Halloween when I saw her.
Oh.
This looked preposterous.
Her outfit?
Yeah.
I think she looks nice.
I thought she looked ridiculous. Like, what was she dressed up as?
Somebody, like a reporter.
Like, this was not, no reporter would dress up like this. She dressed up like she was doing a play from like 1865 or something. Oh. Anyway. Mickie wants to represent Raw as the women's champion, and she throws up the bat signal, and in walks Kurt Angle to grant her said title match. And Mickie yells, "It's true. It's damn true."
Does Mickie not have her own catchphrase?
No.
Did she never have one? What was her catchphrase at TNA?
Don't push me on the train tracks. I'm Mick James.
Did she? She didn't use that, did she?
No, she didn't.
Kip James used that. I don't know why. I don't know why Mickey
and
James.
Kip James. How did that?
I didn't know Mickey.
How did those two ships never cross?
Why didn't Mickie James ever use that? I love that.
I'm
line.
Mick James.
That's great.
Well, anyway. Then Matt Hardy came out. Poor Matt Hardy. They said he's in search of a tag partner. I don't know if he's doing an active search because he's just using the same guy over and over. I think he's found his tag partner.
Yeah, I think so.
It's Matt Hardy and Jason Jordan against Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. This was set up on Facebook when Gallows called Jordan a nerd.
Yep. That was it. That's all you need. Those are fighting words.
Yep, on Facebook.
Yeah.
Jeff Hardy's having surgery Tuesday, so he will be gone for a long time. Tom Phillips noted that Jordan challenged Gallows and Anderson and said the most preposterous line I've ever heard out of Tom Phillips' mouth. He says, "It's one thing to be gold-blooded, but can he be cold-blooded?"
Is that ridiculous?
Yes. That exact rhythm of words, one after the other, being used together in a form of a question is ludicrous.
It's amazing because I don't think anything of these things until you recap them. And I'm like, you're right. I agree with John. I didn't realize it before, but you have a real gift.
One of them also said, it's not just a catchphrase when he says he's gold-blooded. It's like, fuck off. That's exactly what it is. It's physically impossible. He is not gold-blooded. There is nothing about him that is gold-blooded. It's literally a catchphrase. But can he be cold-blooded? Jordan and Hardy cleared the ring. They went through a break. I think every match on this show got a commercial break in it. Jordan just sold forever, landed a suplex, both crawled to their corners. Hardy and Gallows came in. Hardy got the crowd into this. They were all chanting delete. Do you realize the Hardys came back on April 2nd? It's now October 2nd.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I was just pointing out the fact that these... I'm wondering how long these delete chants will just continue. Are these for infinity?
I think as long as he continues doing the gesture.
Well, Hardy landed an elbow off the turnbuckle. Anderson made the save. Then Jordan drop-kicked Anderson off the apron. Jordan gets tossed into the turnbuckle. Hardy's distracted by Anderson. He's splashed into the exposed buckle and takes the Magic Killer, and Anderson pins Matt.
Yeah, the turnbuckle, I don't know if it was it intentionally exposed?
I think so, because it was part of the finish. But they didn't make a big emphasis on...
It looked like it just fell off. I didn't exactly see the point where anybody kind of pulled
I didn't notice it either, so I could have just missed it. But,
yeah.
I mean, if that was an audible, that was a hell of an audible to work it into the finish.
Definitely.
But I feel it was planned.
I don't know if Jordan and Hardy will continue to team up. I would imagine that they would. But I would hope that they are developing a more, substantial reason why the two are teaming up, rather than just, my brother's gone, can you fill in? They just seem like two people that are thrown together right now without any real story. Neither of them are really chasing anything, so it's kind of hard to care about the matches.
What if it turned out Jordan is Matt's brother?
What? And then how would that make sense? Like, so what, Kurt is related to Matt as well?
Yep.
All right.
Charlie spoke to Roman Reigns. He's asked about the attack on Rollins and Ambrose. He says he's not surprised. They've beaten Cesaro and Sheamus and jammed their teeth in. They needed to make a statement. He says he doesn't like complicated strategies. He's going to leave with the IC title tonight from The Miz.
Could you try that with a bit less charisma?
I'm just repeating verbatim what I heard.
I know. And if you wanted to replicate Roman Reigns, I think you would have had to do it with a bit less flair than you just did. He's really kind of perfected the dry hockey player interview, Roman Reigns.
Okay, I'm just going to ask you a yes or no question.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about this next segment, or do you want to just move on?
Oh, I want to talk about it. Oh, my God.
Dana Warrior is in the ring, and she is surrounded by the women's roster and women from the Susan G. Komen Foundation. And Dana Warrior does a Dana Warrior speech.
That's a thing now?
It definitely is a thing, because it's unlike any I've ever heard. So Dana Warrior does this long speech and then reveals 3 pink championships as the Ultimate Warrior's music plays, and all of them shake the ropes uncontrollably. Now let me say this, okay? Every year we talk about this. I'm not even going to go into all the Susan G. Komen stuff. It's not even part of my issue with this. I almost feel as though these 3 women in the ring I felt sorry for. even Dana Warrior, I somewhat feel sorry for. That in all of this, the Ultimate Warrior is now lionized as this incredible spirit, this person that we all, like, I'm sorry, I can't just whitewash some of the stuff that came out of this man's mouth during, like, this is not a person that should be attached to this stuff. This guy said some vile, vile things that were homophobic, that were just so offensive. This is a man that once referred to Todd Grisham and Darren Drozdov as the queer and the cripple when he opted not to go on Bite This. This is a person that has said, and that would not even be in the top 5, I think, of offensive things that the Ultimate Warrior has stated. And I'm watching this segment here, and now the Ultimate Warrior is put into this campaign where it's almost as though the Ultimate Warrior is just, this was Jesus Christ. And this man, like, that's just rewriting history of what this man was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I find it tasteless that the Ultimate Warrior is now part of these charitable foundations and these campaigns and these slogans, and he is not held accountable for any of the reprehensible stuff that this guy, how he lived his life, and the comments that he was hardly shy about sharing with people. So
yeah, you won't be hearing much of that.
No.
My issues, aside from that, I suppose, were mainly just kind of in how tasteless the whole segment was. You know, it looked really stupid having these breast cancer survivors shake the ropes, and all the whole thing just kind of reeks of like some PR person's idea of tying in this thing with professional wrestling. How do we tie it in? You got Warrior in the name, right? Don't you have a guy named Warrior? We can name these women cancer warriors or something. It just all felt so staged and disingenuous and just overall kind of gross.
Like, I'm watching this, and here is a company that made a lot of efforts over the last few weeks to bring up the victims of Hurricane Harvey, of Hurricane Irma. You have the disaster in Puerto Rico. And here we're honoring the Ultimate Warrior, who you can gladly go Google and see some of the comments this guy made about New Orleans and after Hurricane Katrina hit, and the comments this guy made about New Orleans. And here's a guy that we are just putting in this angelic light that is just so removed from your own company's message a few weeks ago. I mean, it's just, this does not compute to me that the Ultimate Warrior is just the patron saint of charitable efforts now on WWE programming. And this will be...
It sounds like it's one of many issues. It's something like this.
So that was that segment. Anyway, the Miz Taraj entered through the crowd doing the Shield entrance, and we had the Miz against Roman Reigns. But first, Roman Reigns is out, and they're doing the introductions. And Reigns takes out Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas with Superman punches, with a drive-by, tosses Dallas into the steps. This is all before the bell rings. Roman takes a chair, and the crowd's going nuts here for Roman. As he grabs the chair, he really milked it and went to the entrance, and he beat the hell out of these two with chairs. Beat them so badly, he knocked them out of the main event of TLC because they are clearly not going to be part of that match. And the crowd was really into Roman before the match even began. And they have found a heel to pair with Roman Reigns that the audience backs Roman. It happened last week, and it happened here, I think, even more significantly from this Denver crowd. So we come back, and the match begins, and Reigns is tossing Miz around. Miz is just rolling to the floor, trying to get out of the way. Eventually, he pulls out Reigns' leg on the apron and throws him into the steps to try and get the count out. And then Miz is in control forever. They go through another break, comes back, and Miz is hitting all of the kicks to the chest. The last one is caught. Sit-out powerbomb by Reigns for a 2 count. He calls for the Superman punch, and Miz counters the Superman punch and delivers a skull-crushing finale, getting a near fall. Reigns then recovers. He hits the Superman punch, and Miz kicks out. Crowd was big into that kick out, and then he calls for the spear, but he is pulled to the floor by the returning Cesaro and Sheamus, and the disqualification is called. They stomped Reigns on the floor, roll him in. It's now 3-on-1. Cesaro hits the neutralizer. Sheamus hits the brogue kick. The crowd is chanting for the Shield as The Miz hits another skull-crushing finale. And then Miz, Cesaro, and Sheamus shake hands, and they go to leave, but instead they return, stating that the people want the Shield. So there's a big chant for the Shield. They stand around the ring, enter, and hit Reigns with the triple powerbomb, and then, with 2 new partners after a week, Miz fisted with Cesaro and Sheamus.
Yeah, I know. Double fisting. 2 weeks in a row.
So this was like waving your magic wand around a 6-man that had 2 loose ends and replacing them with more credible heels, which was what was achieved here. And they basically did the same angle as last week with the new participants.
They basically photoshopped out the faces of the Miz Taraj, and replaced them with Sheamus and Cesaro. Far better matchup, and I wouldn't disagree with what they did here. 10 o'clock main event. This was good.
So there you go. That was the redo, I guess. And maybe they were always going to go this way, but I have to imagine they were reacting to last week that just Axel and Dallas, they did nothing to get those guys ready. And that's on them. They knew where they were going, and they should have spent the last month getting them ready for a main event, or at least last week's show. Not beating them on that show, but poor Dallas and Axel. And poor us. Finn Balor comes out. He says he doesn't like to come out here and talk, he likes to fight. But Bray likes to come out and play mind games. He says he brought out a kid to sing last week, and Balor has to painfully sing the song. And says Bray wouldn't even know what to do with the world if he had it in his hands. Calls Bray a coward. He's not a god or the eater of worlds. You lost to the demon at SummerSlam. You lost to the man at No Mercy. And says that Bray is afraid because he can't beat Balor despite all the games and challenges. And he tells Bray to come face him now. Don't sing it, bring it. So Bray is back on his rocking chair and says she never lied to her, but Finn did. He says Finn was more at No Mercy. He said how the demon fuels the man, but not vice versa, like Balor said, and challenges Finn to show his real face, and he'll do the same. I have no idea what that means. And then he says, after 4 years, Abigail is alive, and she is dying to meet you. And then his face changed.
Yeah, it changed into this like Joker paint. It was really dark. It looked like he had just went through Tough Mudder.
Yeah, sure. So Abigail is alive. As I said, this feud is dead.
Well, do you think this is actually teasing the debut of Sister Abigail?
Oh, it has to.
Well, you say that. You could have said that 3 years ago, though, when they teased this before. Is this something else? Is Bray going to embody Sis Abigail somehow? Is he going to maybe cross-dress and play a little girl?
You think it's a child?
That's the impression.
I don't want to hurt my head too much, but if this Abigail character is alive, I feel like there's tons of holes now in that Randy Orton program.
Well,
what was buried?
I don't think you're supposed to.
What was buried in the house?
Her ashes.
Oh, what ashes?
Her remains. Well, she came back from the dead, man. Come on.
That was never said that she came back from the dead.
She's alive. She's alive, but she's dead. She's dying to meet Finn.
Holy shit.
She's alive and dead.
This is the worst.
This is not unusual. There's precedent set in the WWE for the undead. It's almost scientific.
You're still clinging to this feud.
I'm not really. I'm trying to justify it, though. I think, whatever. If they introduce a new character, finally, of somebody playing Sister Abigail.
Do you realize a year from now that will mean Sister Abigail is going to be in the ring for the Susan G. Komen segment?
That would be really tasteless to have a dead person out there for that segment. I don't think they would do that.
I think they would. Be every woman on the roster get into the ring.
I don't think that'll happen. But let's say they do have somebody planned to play Sister Abigail. Who do you think it would be of their new signees? Of anybody on the roster? Some people have suggested Paige. I can't see that working out. I can't see that happening. She's already been established, and like out of everything that's been going on with her, that character wouldn't last. You know, not with this
Kairi
crowd.
Sane.
Kairi Sane as Sister Abigail? I really don't know about
I'm
that.
thinking of people from the Mae Young Classic. Because Nikki Cross is a natural, but I think she's too attached to sanity.
I don't even think
wouldn't-
she is.
Oh, I think
for that
she would
role.
work easily.
I don't know. I don't even really like her insanity. Who else? Who could be Sister Abigail? I mean, I think a lot
Summer
of
Rae.
people. Maybe Ronda Rousey.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Actually, Shayna Baszler could probably pull it off with like,
I
the
think
makeup.
Shayna would look awesome in makeup. Like Shayna just has like such a cool, like she's got the drippy hair as well, but they won't do that with her. Anyway, fantasy booking here.
Asuka.
Yeah, of course, sure. Why don't you just give everybody a chance? They're trying to drag this thing out for another month, and I mean, good luck to them.
It's dragging.
Okay, so Bray has
He's lost in every form.
Bray has challenged the demon. He
Lost.
Challenged the man. He's lost.
He's lost.
Now he's saying, yeah, but you weren't really the demon. The demon is underneath the man. So like, he's just like, he's gonna lose to the underneath demon, and then he's gonna claim that he didn't face the underneath. The real demon is like.
Bray strikes me
Somewhere
as the
else.
guy that would be that problem gambler that would come home and explain that the children's trust fund is gone because
Yeah.
he just couldn't walk away.
I mean, I didn't really lose. I just need one more shot. I'll win it all back. Yeah. Good luck to him, man, because, fuck, this has been tough. And
This character's dead.
and I can't, like, I think Finn's been doing pretty good, you know? Like, I thought his delivery here was decent, not top-tier level, but, like, I think he's been doing okay. But
One
just-
day Finn-
it
we're
just
gonna
hasn't
get-
helped.
One day we're going to get the Finn Balor book, and he's going to talk about how brutal this feud was, how he was given nothing to work with. There's no heat. He beat this guy every single encounter they had, and they just kept me going with this guy.
The escalation has just been like really off. I mean, I'm sure they really should have started this before SummerSlam, 3 months before SummerSlam, to build to the demon arriving at SummerSlam. Instead, they had to debut the demon at SummerSlam because it's SummerSlam. Now they're gonna have to go backwards. So what does this mean? Is Finn gonna come out in like different paint? Is he gonna like? Yeah, is that it? Does he have like tiers of paint, like Super Saiyan levels?
What was the line he used here?
He says the paint is underneath your skin, or he says you have to peel back your skin to really show
He
the
says
demon.
he wants Finn to show his real face.
Yeah.
This is brutal. The only cliffhanger is whether Bray's feud with Randy will be, if that will be my worst feud of the year, or if this one will be. That's the only drama.
I think that's a safe one because that had way like this one at least had like good wrestling, you know, decent wrestling. Okay, the Randy feud had just like the WrestleMania match with all the projectors and all that stuff. We'll see. It's not over though, this feud. So
I feel the House of Horrors could be where this ultimately goes. Got to bring it back.
yeah, possible.
Bayley and Sasha took on Emma and Alicia Fox. Yes, Alicia's back. Bayley came down. She was hugging kids. She gave away her jacket. Almost felt like desperate.
Expensive.
Yeah. Here, take this. Just
Yeah.
anything, guys, please.
Yeah.
Emma got an insert promo and says that Nia let her down so badly last week that she didn't even trend on Twitter. For the life of me, I cannot remember what happened with Nia and Emma last week. Not a clue. But she was let down. This was... Okay, I went over Booker's greatest line ever. This was Tom's line of the night. This was better than cold-blooded, gold-blooded. This was the greatest setup for tickets are still available. The question is, what is the next step in the women's evolution? Find out next Monday night as we head through Indianapolis. So the women's movement is going to take a step forward in Indianapolis next week. for the entire gender to be aware of.
The women's evolution.
What is next? What is the next step in the women's evolution? Tickets are available in Indianapolis for next Monday.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
So
maybe.
we have so women gain the right to vote, and then Raw.
They can now drive in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, maybe that's the next step. Yeah.
Emma and Fox get control of Bayley, and Fox dropkicked Banks off the apron as they went through the break. Banks was bleeding from the mouth here. Emma hit a butterfly suplex, and Booker noted, "You don't just slip on a banana peel and learn a move like that." Banks was just selling forever. Eventually, she shoved Fox into Emma, knocking her off the apron and tagged in Bayley. Bayley hit this cutter to Fox in the ropes. Bayley then landed this knee to the jaw of Bayley. Went for the tag, but Emma...
To Bliss. Or to Nia. Who are you talking about? Bayley landed... Who landed on whom?
Fox hit the knee to Bayley.
Got it.
Yes.
You said Bayley landed on Bayley.
That's where my mind was.
Really impressive.
This. Yeah. Well, it looked as awkward. It might have happened. Fox then goes for the tag. Emma hops off the apron and ditches Fox. So Bayley hits the Bayley to belly by Bayley to Alicia and pins Alicia. And the match ended. This was very long. Sasha's holding her mouth afterwards. I hope she didn't get anything jammed into her gum. That was my first concern.
I thought the match was just ice cold. No real reaction for these baby faces, who I think both are pretty dead right now. And the heels are they're bottom of the rung heels. So
this started at like 10:30, and it went long. There was only one segment after this.
If there was a time filler match on this show, I think it was this, and it was also, one of the ones that I've already forgotten about.
Next week we have Sheamus and Cesaro appearing on Miz TV, so presumably that will be the big angle. Mm-hmm. And then we had our final segment. For the second straight week, we were closing the show with Enzo. Mm-hmm. Enzo comes out. And Tom says, "Look, Graves, it's your son's favorite superstar," which began when Corey Graves tweeted out that his son hit a double in baseball and did the Enzo dance to celebrate. And he said he failed as a father. Yeah. So Enzo replied saying, "No, you didn't fail as a father. You failed as a wrestler."
By getting concussed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, which I watch Enzo work and was like, dude, Don't be rattling the cage, because he works a style that just screams concussion.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Booker had zero idea what this was in reference to when Tom was goading Graves. Graves then, in probably the line that slipped by most people, sure as hell did not slip by me, said that Enzo looks like he's about to go skiing.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
Hopefully he finds that Bono guy's ski instructor.
I thought that was too much.
That was way too much.
Yeah. Unnecessary.
For those curious, Bono of...
Sonny Bono.
Sonny Bono.
Yeah, he said Bono.
Yeah, he pronounced it Bono, so I think everyone was thinking of U2, but it was Sonny Bono, who died skiing. Anyway, so Enzo tells the Cruiserweight division to go to hell, and tells the haters to go to hell as well. He put 205 Live on the mat, and he made 205, the Cruiserweight division, the main event of Raw 2 weeks in a row, because people had been calling it the Snoozerweight division. You could hear a pin drop when these guys were out here. He mocks the fans for chanting "You deserve it" after his beatdown last week, holds up his title stating he does deserve it. He's earned all his money. He's a ratings draw. Wasn't last week. And he's a star. And he puts more butts in seats than a lazy boy. His back hurts from carrying the division, and calls all the Cruiserweights fools for putting their hands on him last week, violating the clause so they cannot get a title shot. And now another clause has been passed where if any of the Cruiserweights put their hands on him tonight, they will be fired, which Kurt Angle just willingly accepted. I'm beginning to realize from Mickie James and Enzo that Kurt's gimmick is that he will grant anything asked. Sure. You want my whole division fired? Why not? Sure.
Yeah.
Ends with Enzo doing the soft, with calling the Cruiserweight division. And Neville's music plays, and the entire Cruiserweight division comes out. And they chase him out of the ring. They corner him. There's Cruiserweights on the floor, Cruiserweights in the crowd. And he gets surrounded as he returns to the ring. and all the cruiserweights are around the edge of the ring. And he goes one by one, insulting every cruiserweight. He got in a crack on Corey Graves. He insulted everyone with the exception of Tozawa, who did tweet last week that he likes Enzo. And he was spared here. This was outstanding.
Oh, dude,
Enzo was outstanding in this whole segment, and this was...
He roasted the entire room. And the room just had to stand there and take it because none of them had a mic.
No comeback.
None of them had comeback. So it's really peculiar how they're designing this Enzo heel turn. I mean, last week was the start of it, and I think maybe last week some people were still a little unsure. This week he's undoubtedly a heel. But the promo that Enzo cuts is not necessarily that. It's a heel promo because his actions are heelish, but he's still talking like...
This is like The Rock being a heel, where you just can't help but be entertained by him.
It's Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
He's just like talking all this shit about everybody else, and it's entertaining as hell, so you can't help but like him. And like, he's still doing his catchphrases. And he got more people to chant along with his catchphrases by the end of his promo than they were to start. So it's just like... really interesting. And then he gets this airtime to run down the entire division and to make people laugh and to make people probably like him more as a result. But the angle is still him getting beaten down. I just like, it's peculiar because like, I don't know how these baby faces are gonna become more interesting and more attractive and more heroic when you have Enzo coming out there doing all the talking, making fun of him, making people laugh.
I would guess between the main roster, I would say close to 95% of the roster could not pull this off.
Oh, of course, yeah. No, he's just like, he's a natural, completely.
This was an unbelievable performance by Enzo, I thought.
Yeah.
One of the best I've ever seen from Enzo. Like, he was tremendous in this segment.
He was. It's just, the setting is just so weird.
Like, if this continues... he'll be back to a babyface.
Oh, yeah.
Which maybe in the grand scheme of things, this might have a weird way of working itself out, that this guy's going to...
Then what do you do? Turn the entire division heel because people still like this guy?
Listen, the fact is...
so backwards.
These cruiserweights, they're all geeks.
Oh,
like,
completely.
They were all positioned.
Completely.
And you know what? Had they had microphones, they would have had awful comebacks,
too.
too.
Wait till you hear Kalisto talk.
Yeah, and he's going to have to.
Oh, my God.
Kurt comes out and notes that none of the cruiserweights at ringside can challenge him or make physical contact, but none of that applies to his latest signing to the cruiserweight division. And out comes Kalisto, who looked like a dead ringer for like Aerostar in his outfit from Lucha Underground. He comes out, attacks Enzo, hits the Salida del Sol, and Enzo is laid out. Anyway, this...
Good luck, Kalisto.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like, how many people do you think were expecting Johnny Gargano?
Yeah, perhaps.
I personally, to me, I don't see anybody on the horizon who could match Enzo's level, at least on the microphone, or at least in terms of how over they already are with the audience. Outside of Johnny Gargano, I wouldn't even say Neville.
At this, like, Enzo was so fast and quick in this segment. It's like you're talking about like Enzo, Cena, Owens. Like, that's the level of the top guys, I would say.
Yeah.
In these segments.
It's just so weird. Like, how much of this do you think was scripted for Enzo?
I'm sure it was a ton of just, like, I feel Enzo is given a ton of leeway.
Oh, I do too.
Like, there's no way
It's almost like they're telling him, here's the airtime, go out, defend yourself. And defend himself he did. He almost did too good of a job.
The final shot was Roman Reigns sitting in the locker room selling the attack from earlier. Dean Ambrose walks in. Roman gets up, and then they slowly turn, and Seth walks in. They all nod their heads, and they leave Roman alone to close the show and give you what you want for next week, which is where they should shoot the big angle, set up your main event for TLC, and, I mean, as we're getting closer, we have 2 episodes of Raw, so next week you really got to get that card together.
I feel like we can all see the direction though.
I think you know all the key programs. The 6-man.
6-man, Asuka doing something.
Asuka probably with Emma.
Enzo Kalisto.
We don't know what Braun's doing.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess there's a possibility if Joe comes back, he could do something on that show, though that might be pressing it.
Yeah. Interesting. Maybe we don't know a lot. Yeah. I thought Raw was entertaining.
The third hour I thought was. It was like you had up until Reigns and Miz. You did the big segment, and it dragged, but like a much stronger end. Like, I really enjoyed this final segment.
Like, Enzo, honestly, he speaks the truth when he's talking about carrying the division and making 205 Live worth watching. Just to see him talk, I think, is a bit more interesting and adds a bit more value to Raw. Just, if anything, just because for how weird it is. Do you think they'll, like, have they found a good formula with peaking at 10 o'clock and then Enzo Amore to close the show?
It definitely was. I thought as a viewing it was much better this week than last. However, last week, I mean, with that formula, they saw one of their biggest drops ever in the third hour. And I can't say, like, I was just thinking during that women's tag match that this is plummeting. So I feel that the first and second hour are going to be a bit lower. So the drop in the third probably won't be as big. But I still think they're going to be hitting that 2.5 million viewership in the third hour.
Well, the fact that they continued the same thing this week, what do you think that means?
Obviously, they weren't scared off by last week's pattern and went with it again this week. So I don't think the drop will be as big, but that may be just because the overall viewership is a bit lower overall. So we'll see. I thought, at least watching it this week, it was much better in execution than it was last week. And Enzo, to me, was the star of the show.
It was fun.
I thought that was maybe the best performance of anyone on Monday's show. So that was Raw. What a show when you think about all the things we covered.
A whole lot.
There was a lot. So that is going to wrap up this.
Yeah.
However,
what did you guys think of Raw? Tell us your best and worst and leave a comment below and subscribe, and you could enter a draw to win a free t-shirt from Pro Wrestling Tees, including that cease and desist shirt from the Young Bucks.
you can win the cease and desist shirt as long as it's still up there.
Yeah, it's true.
It's going fast. And this Thursday is the deadline to send in your interaction with a pro wrestler. Tweet us at Law Radio using the hashtag Law Contest. Don't email me the photos. Don't direct message me the photos. Only tweet them.
With the hashtag
Law Contest. And you could win a DVD copy of SummerSlam 2017. So that expires on Thursday. And Wai and I will be back on Wednesday with review of SmackDown. And we have a lot of stuff coming up on the site later this week. So go to liveaudiowrestling.com.